All right. I believe I made it. I think I made it. I think I resolved the issue there. Can you believe that September is almost over? Literally, almost over. Fall, autumn is here. Happened so quick. All right. I wanted to do this first before I did an update on this Gabby Petito case that everybody's talking about. Hey, what's up, everybody? Hey, Timothy. Hey, Mushumi Beauty. Hey, blessed and highly favored. I just want to talk about this case that's making some waves here in the Dallas area or in Texas. There was this morning, very early this morning, a discovery of three bodies in a dumpster that was on fire. It had been burning. Three dismembered bodies, actually, including a child. And my understanding is they don't have all of the body parts. So there seems to be some things that are missing, or items or body parts from the bodies that are missing. Maybe that's what could be used to discover who these people are. I'm not sure. But my understanding is there's a child, what appears to be a young adolescent, or maybe an older adolescent aged female, and an adult male who has now been identified as 42-year-old David Lueras. It's really like, oh my gosh, that's just, to get a report of something like that and a police officer walking up on something like that. Me of the types of things or crimes that you sort of see in Mexico with between the cartels. They are very brutal with each other in regards to their murder practices. And I mean, there's some pretty damn disgusting videos that have come up out of Latin American based countries where the cartels seem to have a pretty large presence. I've seen some pretty crazy, insane stuff that I never thought in a million years that people would even do or think to even do something so brutal. But human beings can be especially heinous people, they really can.
Gruesome crime. Three people, including a child, dismembered and set on fire in a dumpster. It happened early Wednesday morning on the city's west side.
Now, this was in Fort Worth, you guys.
We want to warn you, some of the details in this story are disturbing. Here is Scott Gordon.
All that's left are the burn marks under a dumpster that was set on fire about 6 a.m. Wednesday. Police hauled it away as evidence. Inside, firefighters made a horrible discovery. Three people, a young woman who was maybe in her teens, a child, gender unknown, and a man. He is identified as 42-year-old David Lueras. Detectives are asking for help identifying the other two. Police say they were all dismembered, and some body parts are still missing.
And it's apparently pretty gruesome since they didn't even know how many were there initially.
Andrew DeJong showed up to work that morning and saw the heavy police presence.
They blocked off this whole section of the street, and I had to convince the cop just to let me in here to work. And I saw probably 3, maybe 4 dozen people here, and probably a dozen or more cars.
People who live around here are horrified.
This street is always something going on.
Olga Vasquez lives almost right across the street in the 3100 block of Bonnie Drive.
Even, way before I was scared to live in here, and now it's like I had to think about it to stay here. It's just a lot. Yeah. I have 2 kids, teenagers.
Police say Lueras had ties to Dallas and to northeastern Tarrant County. He had a long criminal record, including drug charges, but police aren't speculating who would have wanted him dead or why. For 3 days, Fort Worth police kept the gruesome crime quiet, declining to give even basic information. Now they're asking for the public's help to solve it. In Fort Worth, Scott Gordon, NBC5.
You know, your basic news report. Your basic news report, basically. It really, like 3 people, including the kid and a woman, which just makes me think that maybe he had a woman, you know, and their child that they had together. But of course, I don't have any sort of proof on that. But that is literally the latest so far on the case. Like there's zero like even like there's literally no what do they call it? Control it, get out of that. They have no suspects at all. They have no idea. None, zero. So let me show you this this very interesting footage because it's starting to like get picked up by other news agencies here in DFW because this is a big case. I mean, you heard what they said. Their bodies were dismembered. Oh, we got a woman, a child, and a man. The man's been identified as 42-year-old David Lueras, but they're still missing body parts. They're not saying what parts.
What does it take to get your
But
home?
it makes you wonder, like, hands, head, possibly. Is it a way to hide the identification of who these people are, to delay whatever? Because they surely know who the man is. But maybe they had fingerprints. I don't know. Of course, you know, they're not sharing those sorts of details with us so early in the investigation, but it's just, let's hear this.
Fort Worth police are still trying to identify 2 young victims in a triple murder. Hello, everybody. I'm Steve Eager. It's 9 o'clock. Police say the 3 bodies, which have been dismembered, were set on fire in a dumpster. One of those, still not identified, is a child, the other possibly a teenage girl. Fox 4's Peyton Yeager is at the Fort Worth Police Headquarters with more on the triple murder investigation. Peyton.
Yes, Steve, we're working to get more information. Right now, police have not released any type of suspect description or how many people they believe are involved in the triple murder. Meanwhile, people who live and work nearby the crime scene tell me they're terrified.
To a baby, man.
In the middle of charred grass, Tammy Falgren placed flowers for the murder victims whose remains were set on fire on a West Fort Worth street.
Crazy. I wonder how old the
It really hit
child
home.
was.
Falgren is a mother and a grandmother who lived on the same street 20 years ago. Friday, Fort Worth police revealed 3 bodies that had been dismembered were found in a burning dumpster off Bonnie Drive Wednesday morning.
And that is a
Business
really
warehouses
rough
line
area.
one side of the road, the other side,
Over
homes.
This is our neighborhood, man. How could anybody do something like this?
Police
Fort
say one
Worth
of the
is
victims
rough.
is an
It's getting rougher
unidentified
every day.
child. A second victim is an unidentified young teenage or adult female. And the third, police believe, is 42-year-old David Lueras. Neighbors are left stunned. According to police, 6:15 a.m. Wednesday morning, a 911 call came in to report the dumpster fire. Firefighters discovered the murder victims. Police say some parts of the severely burned bodies are unaccounted for.
It seems to me, you know, if you're trying to hide a body, you wouldn't light it on fire right out in the open. So almost
Yeah.
it feels like a statement.
Andrew Dion
Right.
says the
I
scene
agree with
stopped him
him.
in his tracks on the way to work Wednesday morning. He took
Because
these
they sure did
photos of
identify the
street
man
flooded
pretty
with
quickly.
first responders.
There was about, I don't know, 2-3 dozen people out here at any given time. There's cars running up and down the street, and they had to get a couple people in hazmat suits to actually climb in the dumpster.
It's still unclear when or where the triple murder took place or how the victims are related. Police say Lueras visited the Dallas area and has ties to Hurst, Euless, and Bedford. Court records show he has an extensive criminal history in Dallas County, including drug possession, theft, burglary, and fraud. For investigators, the condition of the bodies is making the identification process difficult. Police are hoping the public will help.
How could they not care? It's a child. I'm so mad, and I hope they catch a person because that's just a sorry, low-life person.
Again, no arrests have been made and police have not released any.
There are no words, you know. there literally are no words for someone who can do something like that. But it does feel like a statement is being made. So it just is very interesting to me that they were able to identify this man so quick, but have not been able to identify the other two bodies, which almost feels, again, like I agree with the witness in the manner that they found the bodies, in the dumpster. People just here, I mean, all you got to do is just drive about 100 miles outside of Fort Worth, and you can find a nice little wooded area and get away with it. It's just really insane and crazy that they put it in a dumpster, lit it on fire to really, say, "Hey, look at me. Look at me. Look at me." Um, Definitely feels like a statement of some type, but I wanted to let you all know about this. So, anyway, um, and there's like no indication at all of who else those other two people were. So, I will say this, if let me paste this in the chat actually, if anybody is familiar or or has any information on the case, there's the detective's phone numbers right there, including Crime Stoppers. Definitely give them a call. You can even call anonymously. I don't know what this man's sins were. It's not my place to judge. Uh, Half the time, I'd say majority of the time, they always want to go into their criminal record. And, oh, yes, he had an extensive criminal record, which has nothing to do with why he's dead. I mean, it could have something to do with it, but not necessarily, right? They always do that. Be This seems really just kind of out there. It's definitely not like your typical murder on a Friday night in Fort Worth, Texas. I'll just say that. So anyway, I'll be live here in about 30 minutes or so, and we're going to talk about the latest in the Gabby Petito case. So I've got that scheduled. You guys catch me on either leaky.com or my Crimes and Investigations channel or on Facebook. We've also transitioned over from Periscope to Twitter for our streaming. So y'all know how to find me. Just Google. But I'll be back in about 30 minutes, and we're going to talk about the latest on that case. So until then,